Welcome, I'm the DeadwoodJedi. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video. I have with me here some amazing content creators, the first competitors for the Dragon event in the Faction Games 2023. I would like to say thank you and welcome to Coldbrew Gaming, Saphyra from the HH Gaming Network, and Senda from Senda Plays. Guys, thanks so much for being here, being a part of this. I honestly, I say this all the time, but I really do mean it. We can't do this without you guys taking the time and the commitment to be a part of it, and being competitive enough to make it interesting and fun for everybody. So I really appreciate that. For those of you wondering what our competitors are playing for, it's one of these bad boys. So it's Coldbrew's name on it, sitting here waiting to send to him. So we got that ready for everybody that does win. But you guys are our first competitors in Dragon. Are you excited? Are you nervous? How are you guys feeling? Give me a little sense of where you're at with this right now.
Yeah, I was really waiting for this this collab, because I can't wait to see what the second and third team are gonna do in terms of the Dragon. So I'm really hopeful that Saph and Senda fight it out, and can't wait.
Hubris talking there. Hubris. Second and third team, honestly. You know what they say about people who brag about these things, and it doesn't work out well for them.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I think that will have to send only one of these trophies, because the other one is going to go somewhere else.
Exactly.
Okay, I like it. I like
shipping costs.
Yeah.
And you have to make Coldbrew pay for it for being all very I'm going to win this one, right?
This is fantastic.
You gotta be.
Fantastic.
And then you gotta live up to it. Well, tomorrow.
Yeah.
I know Saphyra's running Night Revenant faction. Coldbrew's running the Dark Elves, and then Senda's running Lizardmen. Are you guys? How are you? Give me first off. Who do you guys think's going to be winning this thing? Right, we got Night Revenants, Dark Elves, Lizardmen. I mean, it sounds like everybody's kind of confident in their own abilities here. That sound about right?
I mean, the Dark Elves has got something that not many of the factions have, which is Kale and Dark Kale, which is like a cheat code a little bit, but where there's adversity comes Whisper, and a triumph of Whisper. So
and
I'm pretty confident.
Extra turns, multiple extra turns.
It only requires one good source of RNG to literally watch as you get whispered.
Yeah, but will you get it in the one
of three? I mean, that's the problem. Yeah. I mean, if I ran it over and over and over again, which I might do in the background anyway, so that if even if I get some bad RNG on one of these runs, we can kind of have a see what the potential could be.
But it's a shame. There is one epic in my faction that could be a pretty good champion, but I don't have the champion, and I don't have the ability to go and pull about a million ancient shards. So unfortunately, the one that I would have done, which is a shame, because these events are really good for showcasing champions that a lot of people would go, it's not a Taras, why do I even care? It would have been cool to actually showcase a champion that probably a lot of people may have pulled and put into the vault and was like, I might use it someday.
Who's this champion that you don't have?
Aishma.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Mm-hmm. One of the newer ones. It's literally the only poisoner.
Yeah, she's got poison on the A1, right?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, and weaken, but it's the only poison in the faction. That isn't.
And weaken helps with Whisper, right?
Yeah. That's it. Whisper needs to weaken, so it's kind of it's a shame I can't get that one. But if you take the legendaries out, you don't get your Tomb Lord, you don't get your Theodores. There's no poisoners.
This is perfect. It actually leads me into my first question for you guys. Really, is what? Obviously, we're doing stage 25 dragons. Obviously, you're limited in the faction you have, but what is the strategy that you guys feel like you need as far as going in? Because I know you guys are talking poisons, you're talking big damage kind of champions and stuff like that. Is there a clear strategy? I don't know. I've been running steer comps for so long now. I don't even know if I could figure out another way to beat dragon myself. So what's the approach when you're kind of stuck in the limited number of champions that you do have available to you?
Well, get Kale to the boss. That's what I'm trying to do.
Wonder which champion Coldbrew's going to use in his team.
I mean,
fair enough.
I have to use him.
Although you don't get Lydia, and you can't use Ghostborn, so actually, like, you've got a boss solution, but it's like a similar problem. It's like it's not just killing the dragon; it's
the waves. The waves are challenging actually because it's on 25. I
think that's what problem I found, at least in my faction. I now checking yours. It's kind of so as well that there is not that many decreased defense AoE to get the waves fast, because the boss is gonna go down easy. We all have enough poisoners, but there's not that many AoE decreased defense to get rid of the waves fast.
Yeah, and it's also like damage, right? So you can debuff the wave, but like we as Deadwood was saying, we've been using seers now for, we're probably too invested in a seer. So when you take the seer away and you say, oh, I actually have to do damage. Well, if you're attack based, that means you need an attack buff. So it's like, how do you get the attack buff in and keep that champion alive and get the wave clear and do enough damage, especially because it's 25 waves, right? So they're much harder.
Really tanky.
Although dragon waves are better.
I was thinking about the others. The others have it harder than us because dragon is relatively easier in terms of the defense numbers. I think Fire Knight has like 10k on wave 1 or 2. So it's insane on how you'll need these epics to push with enough damage, just straight up damage, no seer damage, and get through.
Yeah, or control. Right, we'll go back to the good old days of Doomtown hard, where when you didn't have the champions, it's like, okay, if you can't do it, crowd control it to death.
So then
but it's a speed battle, right? It's a speed battle, so control is not really the way to go. You gotta be.
All I'm going to tell you is my whisper is good. All I'm going to say.
Yeah, I can imagine Whisper doing lots of damage.
Whisper is single target. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but there's AoE champions in Night Revs, and I'm saying Whisper is. Yeah.
Okay.
It's good. Wow.
So with Tylesia, you have the good.
Remember, you can only use one Whisper. You know that,
right? A shame. Can we change that no dupe rule? Honestly, I've got 2 of them.
No, that's staying for sure. So you guys obviously, I would say, like, it sounds to me like the big thing isn't the boss itself, but rather the waves. That seems to be the big challenge. Actually, I do remember from back in the day trying to push these dungeons faster. That always does seem to be a big spot where you can actually improve your time. Is like shortening the wave time that you're dealing with. That really makes a big difference overall. So then, it sounds like there's a couple options, right? You have some CC, you can definitely go raw damage, seems to be the approach to this, but this is obviously a competition event. Like, what times do you guys think are you aiming for? What's kind of your guideposts here? Where do you think it's gonna end up generally, without getting into specifics of it? We literally had the draft yesterday. We're recording this on Wednesday, so if they've done any runs, they've had maybe 4 hours to actually play around with this. So it's not like they have a lot of experience, and I'm sure that's not where these teams are going to end up, since we're recording this on Wednesday. It's going to be the event on Friday, so there is a lot of time in between to actually fine-tune these teams. But one thing I can say from the last faction games is that times were considerably better than I was expecting, generally across the board. Do you guys have expectations for how long these runs are going to be taking for you guys, or what numbers you're going to need to hit to win?
Well, last time you didn't do 25, did you? So
no, we didn't.
Wave clearing is a lot, and you had legendary access, which
the legendary unlocks. Is extremely powerful.
Yeah, like Senda, for example, if you had legendary, you get Dracomorph. Like,
oh yeah.
I don't have it, but I could use, I don't know.
The test server,
or Wrathin or something. Yeah.
Okay. Well.
It all depends on how much power you can bring in on the waves, because I think the waves are going to be the most time intensive part of the run. And then on the boss, depending on what kind of setup you're running, either poisons or just straight up damage, that's going to be the quickest. So the waves, let's say it takes you like a minute, and then the boss takes you 45 seconds. 1 minute 45-second run, right? But it all depends on how fast you can push it, and if you can fine tune that to be the quickest for what your faction has, right?
Yeah. I think minute 45 sounds about right.
does the Dark Elves actually have a non-legendary viable AoE decrease? I know they got Delver. I don't know if that's an AoE ability. Just trying to think now what the Dark Elves are in there.
Well, actually, that's a great question, Saphyra.
I'm just going to give you a hint. It's one of the dungeons.
I will take you through that. Why don't we talk about the specific factions that you guys have?
Of course, got Madame Ceres.
It's one of the dungeons. It's one of the dungeons, Deadwood.
What's one of the dungeons?
The name of the champion.
Oh, nice.
Spider. Yeah, okay. Spider's not consistent, is it? It's not 100%.
It's not 100% for the weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But it's a long cooldown. That's a beastly long cooldown, and you haven't got any resets. Which is why, actually, I think like a lot of people probably have been like, why did no one pick the Orc faction? Seer, of course. But there's not really a champion in that faction when you take the legendaries out. It's going to be able to sustain your Seer. You know, you got Zargala, but then what else are you going to use?
Yeah, that's
and
very
on 25s, you need a bunch of buffs.
You do need a lot of buffs.
Yeah.
Wow.
Depending on what kind of seer
depending
you have.
on your seer.
It depends.
Star Awakened, and it has like 325% in Savage, Lethal, Cruel with Warrior. Not really.
But then you also have to keep the minus, like the power level. Because I had that problem. I hear some champions.
We have to be at 300k, so right?
Yeah.
300k. So.
Sacrifices must be made for the Church of Whisper. That's what I'm saying.
Somebody has to.
Coldbrew, since you have had a chance to play around a little bit, obviously, Dark Kael is one of the more notable champions within your Dark Elf faction. Are there any other ones that you've been looking at that you think have some particular synergy with this dungeon that you're exploring using? You don't have to give us your full team, but obviously pointing out some specific some champions that are really good and impactful.
I was thinking about I was thinking about Madame Ceres for the defense down, like a very solid defense down, but it has a longer cooldown with 4 turns, I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
4 turns. So that's when I went back to Spider. He has a longer cooldown, but at least he brings in the weaken, which that's going to help with extra damage. So I thought, if I have him fast enough, then he can maybe rotate through and have it maybe on that second wave where you'll need it again.
Sure.
But the problem is, the more turns you take, the enemies will also take turns. So I might need to bring in some control. And I was thinking of bringing at least something in there, like Sylar, when you hovered over.
Yeah, it's really good for control.
I'm not going to use poisons to beat down the wave. So it's not like I need the enemies to take turns to die, because Kael is single target poison. So as long as I can control the waves so they're not annoying, they don't I think wave 2 of the dragon has turn meter down, so if they take a turn it becomes annoying. So I think Sylar is like a solid one to consider.
For sure. There's a couple of interesting ones in here, like I know Rion has is that a weaken, AoE weaken? It's
a weaken, yeah.
That's not bad.
I thought about it. It's not as strong as Madame Ceres. Since I can use her, I thought Madame Ceres is the better alternative out of those two. Lua has some good damage. She has single target and triple AoE, but the triple AoE has a low multiplier, so it's not really hard hitting. It's her single target that does a lot of damage. That's more for other situations and not so much for dragon.
That makes sense.
It's of course a rare we're not talking about here that you are 100% using, aren't you?
There's plenty of rares.
Yeah.
Paragon, right? Paragon? Isn't that the one you're going to be using?
That's going to be for the arena.
Oh, my bad.
Don't.
350 speed Paragon.
Obviously, Coldheart's a big. I mean, I think this faction has some of the best rares in the game between Coldheart, Paragon, even Painkeeper can be really effective for you. And Kael, of course, is very solid all the way through the game. So you definitely
Judge
have
too. Actually, Judge is actually one of the best, if not, I would say, if not the best overall end game rare.
Okay, there you go.
Because the Secret Rooms, he's like AoE, you get loads of debuffs. He hits quite hard because he scales really good with debuffs. So, like outside of Coldheart, he's probably the best rare in that faction.
Okay. Yeah. Note to self: build up a Judge. There you go.
Awakening really makes him giga charged. That's all I'm going to say.
I can see that. So there's definitely some interesting options in that faction, I would say. Senda, I think you have the most interesting choice here because you took all the lizard men, right? And I think the lizard men have some of the best epics in this game, like quite frankly. So I thought it was a really interesting choice. I'm assuming Venom Mage is going to be taking center stage for your team. Are there any other?
You'll be surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in the team. Obviously, he's a really good epic. But I mean, at least the main issue I found is that I don't have any AoE weaken, any AoE decreased defense. I've been reading all the rares, all the everything. Like, yeah, they have good poisoners. There's good synergies. A lot of tanky champions. Like Jarek is really good. Aox is really good. Quargan the Crown is really good. But I'm missing damage. Like there is no damage there. There's no raw damage. No AoE damage. Basilisk
Basilisk, yeah. I can do something.
But still not enough. The Elijah, I think it's called, one of the new wish, works really, really good with other lizards, but it just takes ages. So at least the tries I've been doing, they're very consistent, very, very good. I mean, I can even push it to hard mode dungeons with them, but they take ages. That's the main issue.
Yeah. There's just not a lot of them, is there?
Yeah, there's like
not many champions in that faction.
That's not it. Is there
13 epics, and the rares are all pretty meh.
Just out of curiosity, does the Sylvan Watchers actually now have more epics than the Lizardmen already?
Sylvan Watchers?
One less.
I think it's the same. I think it's
the Sylvan Watching factions.
They're the same, or
it's brand new.
Yeah, they have one less.
That's like, come on, Plarium, give the Lizard epic some love, like some depth there.
Yeah, man.
Poor Senda's going to be traumatized.
They tested the metrics. The Lizards don't do well.
Well, I mean, at least you have Venom Mage, who does bring that AoE decreased defense on a 3-turn cooldown. That makes a lot, in some ways you might
single target.
Oh, it is single target.
That's the thing. I don't have any AoE decreased defense, so there's no damage.
It's because they're legendary heavy. Like if you looked at the legendary champions in the Lizardman, they're all like, Dracomorph and like you've got Brisk.
Pythion.
Yeah, the legendary Lizardmans are probably some of the best in the game, but the epics are they're good, but very like niche. Quargon's great in the right scenario, but generally, Aox has got some awkward stuff. Like Aox does turn me to dropping, but only if it places certain debuffs and.
Aox is going to be nice for the boss with the poisons and getting hit and extending them, but the waves are the challenging part, I think, for all of us.
I'm really interested to see how you approach this then.
Maybe not so much for Night's Rev. I think they have heavy damage with Skull Crown, Sinesha combo. You can do heavy damage.
Good.
But as I mentioned,
so many options.
There is only one poisoner that is not. Like, if you take the legendaries away, there's only one champion in the entire faction of Night Revenants that does poison.
I don't know that I care.
Only one?
I really don't know that I care. Like with this with these champions, these options, you have a lot of strong damage dealers, tons of control.
If you can push through and get I know Faceless does a lot of single target damage. Whisper.
Oh no, Whisper's better than Faceless.
Yeah,
actually, Franox is better than Faceless.
Faceless is good if there's shields out there, right? It takes out the the Valkyries and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
even then,
he does a lot. Yeah, he used to do a lot of damage at least.
But the multiplier of Franox A2. I don't know if you know it, but
yeah.
Is it?
That A2 in the joke.
Yeah,
guess it.
Right here.
Say a number.
It basically does what my Whisper A2 can do.
A 5 multiplier.
No,
more than that.
It's like 9.4.
What?
Because it does 100% more damage.
If the conditional is on.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. I used Franox in Sand Devil like stage 7, and it did like, I think off the top of my head, in my sort of averagey build, around about 280,000 on a single A2.
Gross.
It's basically, it can't match the Whisper A2, but it's not far. Because obviously that's just. Like, I'll be honest. I'm aggressively refreshing the marketplace because I'm 5 out of 6 on my Whisper. I'm praying because if I get 6 out of 6 on Whisper, and things could go super solid.
Yeah, that would be nuts.
That's really gross. That's really gross. I mean, this is actually this is a really good point though. Like how impactful are the blessings for you guys? Like this is something that I've been noticing. I noticed it in our last, what was the last drafts we did? I think we did a Hydra draft last. And it's something that I hadn't really been paying attention to, but the champions that you have with high blessings can have an outsized impact on the results of your run. And it's getting to the point where I need to factor that in my considerations of like what factions to pick, what champions to choose for things like this. How big of an impact are you guys finding that to be for you all as far as like going through this? Are you making sure, like if you have a champion with the high blessing, are you like, well, I gotta find a way to shoehorn this champion in there, or like how is that affecting your build strategy so far?
Well, if I told you that, sorry, go on, Coldbrew.
Yeah, that's how I thought. I first tried my awakened champions, and then I would drop back to anything else, because just the straight up damage because of the awakenings helps a ton. And like having cruelty also helps if it's like a prolonged fight, at least to reduce the defense a little bit extra over the debuffs.
Yeah, I get that.
My team is probably not going to have a single champion that isn't 4-star or above.
Jesus.
I'm kind of the opposite. Like I have my maximum is a 4-star, and I don't even use it because it doesn't really fit in the. It's an arena champion. It's this Z something, so it's not really useful.
The problem you're going to have, Senda, is your faction is support heavy, and I actually think the support blessings just suck. Like blessings really help like damage dealers, or like your brimstones when it becomes a support champion.
Would have been nice.
Yeah. But like apart from cruelty, you're picking things like chain breaker.
Yeah.
And if it's defense based, like phantom touch isn't even that useful. So like the best thing you can hope for is survival instinct for some turn meter. But I mean that actually would be quite good for dragon, survival instinct, because you're going to get 3 debuffs. It'll give you like 10% turn meter fill. It's a bit better, I think. But I mean, I actually got a 4-star whisper, and the change on going from 3-star to a 4-star whisper when I was building my Shogun team, her damage profile went up 100,000 damage just by adding a 4-star. The crit damage plus the 10% bonus damage you get from going from 3-star to 4-star in hard mode dungeons and Phantom Touch and Phantom Grove. So like for me at the moment, like when I'm looking at my account, I've stopped chasing champions. I'm just like, give me the souls. Like if I can find more access to souls, and they just have more impact, like in clan boss as well. Now that you've got, especially 6-star, now that you get like extra speed, extra crit damage.
But it's very hard to get the 6 stars. Not so much for the epics, but the legendaries, it takes forever.
It's hard to, if you don't get the 6-star right off the jump, it is hard to build it up to that point.
Yeah,
they're pretty extensive.
My camera's going a bit wonky there. Sorry.
Oh, good.
Cut that bit out.
Well, as we kind of wrap this up, you're doing a great job, kind of talking, thoughts and ideas on all this stuff. I just want to get real quick your opinions on the draft itself. Were there any, I guess really I got, big questions I have is like, who do you guys think drafted the best out of all the teams? And then were there any surprise picks in there that you weren't expecting, and any factions you feel that got missed that maybe should have been picked? Senda, why don't you kick us off on this one here?
I mean, I think the best one was Sacred Order. I think that was one of the first ones to be picked. I think it's a very solid faction in terms of epics. It has twice the amount of epics of a lot of the factions. You have Deacon, you have, Cardinal, Godseeker, and Eerie, Shamel. So it's a really, really solid faction. And I was very surprised that no one picked Bannerlords. I think it's also another pretty solid one. Or even Dwarves and Geo.
No, we have Dwarves.
Ah, yeah, we got Dwarves.
Dwarves, yeah.
Then
Dwarves, I think, was the last. Then, all the
good ones are taken. Yeah.
Shadowkin's the one that I'm most surprised at, because
Shadowkin works.
You tend to find like newer factions have newer champions, which means newer champions are just better because you've got to make champions more exciting than the old ones, right? I mean, that's kind of the issue with Lizardmen and Barbarians to some extent, and Orcs, because they're an older faction. Yes, they've got some big power champions, but they don't get as much love and attention as the newer ones in terms of just champion power. But if you look at like Shadowkin, it's got Taragi, like crazy kind of parry. You've got Gembo, really good wave clear. You've got Aboro, which can work in Hydra.
That's super solid also.
Yeah, like you got Sachi, very underrated Sachi for just generally being able to do AoE, increase attack, decrease crit rate, leech. It's got a revive AoE. Yeah, like really, really strong champion. So, you know, I was surprised that nobody picked it. Swarin as well. I actually don't have Swarin. It's one of my epics that I've actually been trying to get for such a long time, but it's actually a really solid champion. So I'm surprised nobody picked Shadowkin more than anything else. Sacred Order, I agree.
YST was the first, his main way to go. I think because he really loves Shadowkin in general. But yeah, I think due to the dungeons he had to do, I don't think in that sense maybe Shadowkin was the best faction for it.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest challenge we had was Spider. Like we started drafting, we were talking about what do we pick for Sacred Order was in a conversation, but I was just like, I want my Whisper, so I'm pulling rank. No, I didn't really. They offered it up. But then once the Sacred Order Dark Elf back to back and like Demon Spawn was brutal because then you actually like, and then when YST picked Oghren, which obviously has got Skrank, that kind of deals with the Spider issue. You're like, okay, well, you're talking epic AoE burners.
That was the exactly reason, because I was supposed to do Spider and I have all the champions except Skrank, and I was like, I cannot do Spider. I cannot take this faction.
He is the MVP in it because you've got turn meter control with like Lorne and Maneater, so you can kind of like get a little bit of turn meter control. But Skrank is like a monster, like an absolute monster.
So good,
Ugo.
It's very good for Hydra, Ugo.
Yeah, it's a nice
Hydra
for anything pretty much.
But you actually, when you look at it, it's like once you take out those like Mordecais and Skranks, and I think there was another one in one of the other factions. I think Barbarians, you can do like the sort of single target into a debuff spread.
Yeah, the spread,
they have Harkin, and they've got Jotun, I think, is really strong for that.
And Farrakhan, So you can do something with it, but then the other factions are like, I'm looking at Night Revs. There isn't a burner. Like there's Pestilus, just one single target burn, and it doesn't even do it 100% of the time.
And neither in Lizards.
Pestilus is great.
No. I don't even think Lizards has a burn at all, does it?
No. Well, it's
not a single burn.
This last one that they released, but not in Epics and Epics and Rares. Nothing.
Also for Dark Elves. No, AoE HP burn.
Is there not one there?
Interesting.
Is there really not?
Doesn't look like it.
I mean, it's the Cold Heart for the Spider, but you can only use one and it's on 25.
Yeah.
You're not really going to use her.
Not as
actually
great.
Not a burner. That's crazy, actually. You think of all the quality that Dark Elves got, because you think they've got 2 Doom Tower champions, they've had login champions, and they don't even have a single burner. That's kind of crazy. I mean, that's the problem. The epic burners, there's just not that many of them, and as you say, we start picking like, okay, well, once someone's got to do Spider, who's going to be the one that does Spider? So, yeah.
Interesting. Well, then I think that kind of covers all the stuff that I have for you guys. And I want to say thank you again for taking the time out to do this. Not just for the tournament, but also even just for this video. It always takes a lot of time and a lot of effort from you guys, and I appreciate that. Real last thoughts, and who's going to win? This is the final question.
Like overall?
Who's going to win overall? Who's going to win this event? Give me both of those things.
Look, I was feeling really positive at the start, but now Saf has put in the thoughts in my head, right? How hard can that Whisper hit? Is she gonna hit for 500,000 or something?
Gonna one-shot the dragon.
Is she gonna demolish the dragon? Do I need to make it faster? Can I make it faster than what I've done already?
If I get a 6-star, I'll be sure to send you a DM with it, okay? Yeah, if it comes up in the marketplace, the essences are ready. It's all waiting. We're just waiting for the
do
gods. Do
you have everything ready to go if you see it in the store? Yeah, I think it takes 100.
I've got everything. I'm ready to go. I'm just waiting for Playroom to give it to me.
Playroom, please. You're gonna be
especially
waiting.
It appears tomorrow. We know there's been some exchange of DMs between Saf and Banana Jam. Hey, please, can you add this?
There's 2 more refreshes until tomorrow. 2 more refreshes of the show.
If all of a sudden the rules change and only official creators can be in there, then you know what happened. I kind of got my Whisper in, didn't I?
There we go. Well,
but I mean, I am terrified a little bit of like I think MTGJedi is doing Hydra, right, with Sacred Order.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah,
I'm a little bit afraid of that. I'm not gonna lie. That's like if you ever want a faction starter pack for Hydra, it's like Sacred Order, isn't it? Like they've got solutions for the Torment Heads. Like they got. I have one hope, and that is that Rector no longer takes 5 million years to do an animation. That's my only hope.
I sure. Good luck with that.
That's my only hope.
Well, I mean, you know, when it comes to Hydra, it's just damage, so you don't have to worry about speed. At least if you're doing that, right? So
true, yeah. But I mean, you know, he's a lot more than just.
I know.
Yeah.
So Senda, how you feeling? Who do you think's going to be pulling the win out on this? And any last minute thoughts you have?
I'm starting to regret picking the lizards in that sense. At least for the dragon, yeah.
Fair enough.
We'll see. Sometimes less is more. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, it will bring the creativity for sure. You're gonna test out the limits of the faction.
Maybe 3 champions is faster than 5 champions.
Oh,
it is.
I at least suggest that maybe in your case, like less is more.
I like that. I like that. See, now I'm really intrigued. And this is kind of the whole point of this, right? As much as it is for us to have fun and hang out and do these kind of things, but it's also a great way for people to see stuff that you wouldn't normally see and challenge yourself and get thinking about the game in different ways. That's always my favorite part about this. So I just want to say big thank you to Coldbrew. We've got Saphyra with HH Gaming Network, and we've got Senda Plays. So make sure to follow them, guys. We got their links down below, pinned comment description of this video. They're awesome content creators. They're really awesome people. Actually, incredibly nice. I'm really happy, actually, Senda. We've actually been able to connect over this because you seem like a really awesome dude. So this has been great.
Thank you.
Overall. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to the event. We'll see you guys on Friday. Senda is maybe possibly running a little bit late. So if we don't start right on time,
we'll keep you entertained.
We'll keep you entertained.
Me and Cold will have banter wars to see which one fights over the trophy before Senda comes and like sweeps it away from us. Probably.
We'll just have competitor roasts is what we'll do. We'll have a roast off or something like that. So it'll be fun. But anyway, guys, thank you so much. Make sure to check us out. Everything is on the website. So if you want to find the schedule for the next event, you want to see the results of the previous events, you can go there. 5 p.m. UTC, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. UTC. The draft on a Friday. Make sure to check it out, September 8th. Look forward to seeing you guys there. I look forward to seeing you guys there. And that's all we got. So until next we meet on the Deadwood Jedi.